Hey guys, college football update, week 4. Man, this was a very exciting week. There's all kinds of things that happened. We'll get into as many of them as possible in under 10 minutes. We also have our Ask Roger segment. For those of you that do not remember or have not watched this before, Roger is right here. He's my penguin, right behind me. For those of you that have a college football question, submit them to Roger, and we will do our best to answer them each week. We also have a sponsor for our Ask Roger questions each and every week. We'll start it this week, and we'll reveal that later on in the show. So let's start with Notre Dame first. Notre Dame beats Wake Forest 56-27. I got to be honest with you, I did not see this coming. Okay, let's start with this. Obviously, they played Ian Book. That was the reason they were able to score 56 points. That is true, because what happened was, when you have a quarterback who can make the throws, especially the short throws that Brandon Wimbush had such a problem with, it opens up everything else. It allows you to run the football. It's basically allows for everything else to open up on the field that you need to open up. So the fact that Book was able to make those kind of intermediate passes down the field and do what he needed to do and spread the ball around, it seems so simple to make up a 5-yard pass. But obviously, Wimbush made it look extremely hard, and you can see the difference when you have a quarterback versus not having a quarterback. So last week, I mentioned the fact that Notre Dame was not playing like the number 8 team in the country, and I didn't think they were the number 8 team in the country at that point with Wimbush at quarterback. I don't think that Book is the most amazing quarterback that's ever lived, obviously, but he's a great college quarterback, I think. I mean, I think he could be. Just to give you an idea, and I actually read up on this today, I thought I remembered it, and I wanted to confirm it. He had actually committed to Washington State at first. So I understand that. People are like, Washington State's, whatever, middling Pac-12 team. I kind of get it. However, if you think about the offense that Washington State utilizes and the fact that they wanted him at quarterback, that's pretty good. I mean, obviously the kid can chuck it around. So Notre Dame's got a big test this week in Stanford. It's a huge game every year. Notre Dame struggles beating them. I believe Brian Kelly is either 2-5 or 2-6 against Stanford. So extremely problematic. However, it's at home. My hope is with Book at quarterback, they're going to be able to pull it out. But really, really great win, and certainly, hopefully, a sign of things to come for Notre Dame down the road. I guess we'll see. But I will say this. Definitely played like the number 8 team in the country this past week. I will also say Wake has a terrible defense. But still, if Wimbush was in there, they would have won by touchdown. So great win for them. So I'm going to touch on this, and I realize that this may be kind of stupid, but I'm going to touch on a couple of teams in the Big Ten. We're going to start with Illinois. The reason I'm mentioning Illinois is that Illinois is one of those teams that I think most people thought was going to win like 3 games this year. I'll be honest with you, I don't think they're that bad. I mean, they were in the Penn State game the entire game, except for the fourth quarter, obviously. They got destroyed in the fourth quarter. I think they were outscored 35-0, which that's a whole other thing about Penn State. I don't understand what they're doing, having these teams hang around. It's very odd, but they seem to do it week in and week out. It's going to bite them at some point, when they play a better team other than somebody like in Illinois. It's really going to bite them. So they've got to be able to get out ahead of this and not have to worry about trying to get out ahead of it in the fourth quarter. But I digress. I think Illinois might win 6 games, and I think that's huge because most people would never have thought that they would win 6 games. But I'm going to say it now. I think they're going to win 6. I think they can pull it out. Nebraska, man, I mean, this is not good. I mean, but we knew this. I mean, anybody who saw and who's paid attention to Nebraska and recruiting and everything else, Nebraska doesn't have any talent. They have some talent in certain positions. I think Adrian Martinez is going to be a good quarterback at some point, but there's just not a whole lot of pieces around him. So, the reality is Pelini took him as far as he could take him, and they were winning, 9 games a year with him, and that wasn't good enough. And that's fine. You're Nebraska. You should win more than 9 games. But I think what if you're a Nebraska fan, the way that you have to look at this is obviously long term. Would you rather be 3-9 this year to hopefully win 11 games in 2 or 3 years? That's really the way to look at it. Or would you rather be 9-4 again? So I think you've really got to look at this from a long-term perspective. Scott Frost is a great coach. He's going to figure it out. He wants to be there. He's got his entire staff from UCF that he brought with him, and obviously you saw what he did at UCF. So I think he'll be fine. He obviously, being at UCF, he's going to have some of those Florida ties. He's going to be able to bring in some speed and some of the guys that he needs to be able to do what he wants to do. Give him time. You'll be fine. Purdue, I'd said last week I was surprised that Purdue was 0-3. They were an incredibly good 0-3 team. So, got the big win against Boston College. I actually said last week that Boston College was perhaps the second best team in the ACC. Didn't think I was wrong in that, and we saw what happened to Virginia Tech, but we'll get to that in a minute. But maybe Duke is. But I said Boston College and Duke last week. I kind of stick by that. I still think they're maybe the second best team. Miami, you could make an argument, I guess, but I'm not sold on them yet. But anyway, great win for Purdue. Not surprised that they were able to pull it out. Again, 1-3. I mean, you only go from here. So Purdue. Could they win 6 games? Sure. Could they win 7? I don't know. That's tough. I think they would have had to have been 2-2 at this point to be able to win 7 games or 8 games to end the season. But could they win 6 and go to a bowl? I think so. I mean, there's still some hope there. So I don't really think Purdue has a ton of fans, but if anybody is a Purdue fan that is watching, you might win 6 games and go to a bowl, which is you're still building. So that's good. UVA, I want to mention this because I absolutely, again, there are certain coaches that I just think are really good coaches, and I think Bronco Mendenhall is a great coach. I think he did great things at BYU, and I thought he was a fantastic hire at UVA. They had a really good win against Louisville. I do not think Louisville is any good this year. However, 27-6, it's pretty good. So, if UVA can get to a bowl again, which, again, I don't know that a lot of people predicted that either, but if UVA can get to a bowl again and continue to build, that's going to be great for them. And I think they need that. It's a little ridiculous that Virginia Tech is the only team in that state that's good at football. It's insane. There's enough talent for Virginia to be good. And quite honestly, Virginia is an incredibly good school. They should be able to attract talent who would want to play there. So, figure it out. But I'm loving the win. I think UVA is in the rise. Let's stay in the state of Virginia and talk about Virginia Tech and Old Dominion. I'm not going to go into a huge amount of detail here because everybody's talking about it, but all I will say is look at the schools that Old Dominion played prior to playing Virginia Tech. I think they lost to FIU, Charlotte, and Liberty. But that's not good. I mean, those are 3 of the absolute worst Division I programs. They absolutely are. And to be honest with you, Bobby Wilder, who's the coach at Old Dominion, he's now 73-40 there, and he's been the coach ever since the program started. I think he started being the coach in 2007, and they started playing football in 2009. He has built this program into what it is. So I'm not completely shocked that they won. I mean, he's a great coach. I was shocked that they were 0-3. I mean, if you look at the short history of Old Dominion football, they've really been pretty good over the past, however many years they've had a team. What is that? 8 or 9 years that they've had a team. So I was a little surprised they were 0-3. So certainly it's shocking that they won the game. I'll give you that. But, Virginia Tech just didn't come to play. They just figured that they were going to win the game and it was going to be easy and no big deal. It's similar to Notre Dame playing Ball State. It happens. It happens week in and week out. San Diego State barely beat Eastern Michigan at home. There's just certain teams that you don't care about. You don't get up for and you think you're automatically going to win the game. So, hey, and they didn't. So there you go. Army, God, man, that was a tough one. Army's my second favorite school. It is. And, man, they almost had it. I got to tell you, anybody that makes fun of, and I say this because obviously I'm a Notre Dame fan, they play Navy every year. I want your team to play them. And I said this before, have your team play an academy. It's a very, very tough game to play. So tough one for Army, but, I love Army. I mean, they're so on the rise. It's just fantastic. Jeff Monken has done wonders at Army, and they're right there with Navy now, which is fantastic. Let's go into our Ask Roger segment. So I said this. We have a sponsor each week for our Ask Roger segment. So the sponsor this week is the Winthrop Cafeteria, circa 1997. Go down there and check it out. They have Cicchetti, pretty decent ranch, and Chicken a la King on Wednesdays. And every now and then, they've got pizza. So check it out. Circa 1997, Winthrop Cafeteria, pretty good. So let's move into question number 1. Will Clemson lose a game? I think so. I'm not going to predict who they're going to lose to because I'm not going to get into that. But yes, I think they are going to lose a game. It's extremely difficult to go undefeated. It just is. They lost to Syracuse last year. How did they lose to them? It's an exotic offense. So, could they lose to them again? I don't think so. But could they lose to somebody else? Of course. I mean, anybody can lose any week. And yes, I think Clemson's going to lose a game. I think the only undefeated team is going to be Alabama. That's it. And I said it. Can anybody challenge Alabama? Ohio State is the only school that I could see that could challenge Alabama. I know all you Clemson fans are going to get upset with me. And the only comparison that I have at the moment is Clemson played Texas A&M, Alabama just played Texas A&M. We saw what happened. So if I'm making a comparison to the two, you're not the same team. You know, Clemson and Alabama are not equally matched at the moment. But I do think Ohio State has pretty much as much talent as Alabama does. I think they're really going to be the only one that's gonna possibly give them a test. So I think that's going to be your national championship game, Alabama Ohio State. Okay, guys. Until next week. Thanks.